This is my PowerPoint presentation that I used during parent orientation last week. And so the portion that I'll be going over right now has to do with the introductions and reminders part of the schedule. Obviously, if you didn't attend the other week, you won't be going to all of the different classes that your kiddo has, but thought I would just kind of give an overview of what I went over with the rest of the parents. So thanks for joining me. We reviewed the mission statement, of course, because it impacts everything we do, and always want to look at that as a group together when we gather together, because we find it so important. So thank you for partnering with us in this ministry. Next, I started walking through just some reminders and pointing everybody to our webpage where you'll find a link to our calendar, I Learn It, and Parents Web, also known as RenWeb. So again, just kind of going over the big differences, the delineating factors between these three programs that we talk about and use all the time, and just pointing everybody to the fact that I Learn It is really where we're going to house class content. RenWeb, also known as Parents Web, is where all the grades are going to be found, and then of course Tandem is just that online calendar of events that just shows everything happening across campuses, and also noting that all of these can be accessed through the ribbon at the top of the I Learn It page, and reminding everybody that for I Learn It, your login and password is shared with your student, because it's really meant to be a student used and manipulated source of information. I guess the only other piece here is that if you are not seeing the grade reports, the progress reports on Sundays, to email Peggy Ware, pware at cvcsonline.org if you're not receiving those on Sundays. Reminding everybody that we do have after-school office hours with all of our full-time teachers, and just walking through why we're doing this, just with the goals of being discipleship, creating and supporting positive habits and accountability, basically that our teachers are here for our students. So like I said, every day we've got our full-time teachers here that are available 3:15 to 3:45. They're available to help students after school, and just reminding everybody that even practices, meetings, all those kinds of commitments are postponed until after office hours have ended. This is a new policy we have this year, and this is our late work policy, and it applies to, this part of the policy applies to all of the assignments that fall within the 20% or formative assessment category of assignments, and homework is probably the best example. So last year is when we made the changeover for the grade books, that grade books had to reflect a 20-80 split. So 20%, no more than 20% of the grade can come from formative practice kinds of assessments and assignments. So what we've done this year is our late work policy for these assignments is that the student has one day, the same day that the assignment is due, to make up that assignment. So if a student comes to class and they don't have their homework, then that student must come to office hours after school for that teacher to make up that assignment. And if they do, then they can get some credit for it. That's between them and the teacher. If they don't attend the office hours, then that assignment stays as a 0 in the grade book. And we have a longer version, a longer explanation of this late work policy and the next policy I'm about to talk about. And that's all updated in our student parent handbook on our website. So the other new process that we have is this academic detention, which has to do with assignments that are in the 80% category. And those assignments are going to be like the tests and the papers and the projects and the big packets that are due. And those are the assignments where if a student does not turn that assignment in, we've basically established, it might be possible for a student to come on a test day and say, I'm not going to take this test because I don't feel prepared, though that would be really, really rare. What's going to be more likely is that it's going to be a larger project or paper that's due that fits into the 80% category assignment. It's a summary of what the student knows and is able to do. So those assignments, if a student does not have that the day they are due, then those students get what's called an academic detention on that same day, and they need to attend academic detention until the assignment is completed. So it's invoked in a way, we communicated in a way that that teachers will email parents that same day to let them know that the student needs to stay after. But again, it's during this 3:15 to 3:45 time. It's and they need to be there for that for as long as it takes to finish that assignment. I would say within reason, but you'll know very, very early that this is what's going on because you'll get an email that same day, that first day, and that student will work out that process with that teacher on that very, very first day to figure out what the plan is, so the teacher can get evidence that the student knows and is able to do whatever those that assessment is trying to assess. And this slide is just an example of the email notification that you'll receive that same day. We have also revised our drug testing policy. Basically, in the past, random drug testing used to apply only to athletes, and we really took a look at this again and thought that's just dumb. It should apply to all of our high school students and even to staff. So we've revised that policy to include all high school students and staff, not just athletes, and the initial mechanism for consent will be done via email. This is just a reminder, really. Teachers use email for communication, even though it's not as great as having a phone call all the time. For most things they'll email. Sometimes they still, of course, will call you. We still want to continuously improve, and we want to improve our response times here. So we want to get responses out within 24 hours, except for over the weekends, of course. And just to urge you, like if you're on page 2 or 500 words of an angry email, just to encourage you to stop and pray and just talk to the Lord about what needs to be communicated, and maybe just take a day to think about it and pray about it, and maybe instead just ask to meet with that teacher. I think the biggest clarification we need on the dress code as far as the girls are concerned is that knee length is the length of dresses and skirts, unless they're wearing leggings, opaque non-see-through leggings underneath. Then the dress or the skirt could be fingertip length. Shorts can be fingertip length. Leggings can't be worn just by themselves. They have to have a skirt or a dress over them. And tank tops are allowed. They just have to have a 3-inch wide strap. Abrasions are allowed. They just can't show skin. There has to be some kind of patch or material under them for all of the abrasions that are above the knee. Our cell phone policy hasn't really changed much, but our process has. So we've instituted a system whereby all of the classrooms have an over-the-door shoe compartment hanger that we're using for all the cell phones. So there's 0 cell phone activity during classes or chapels. And basically when kids walk into a classroom, they're putting their cell phones in one of the pockets on the door. So they still can use them during passing periods or in the office. But other than that, cell phones should be placed in all of those shoe holders. The other part of this policy is that we've reminded students that there should be absolutely no social media posting during school hours, no pictures, no videos, no postings. And if postings are brought to our attention, and certainly pictures or videos are brought to our attention that were taken during school hours, then that will be navigated very, very, very carefully with administration. The tardy policy and process we've been trying to improve this year as well. They're still accumulated on a quarterly basis. This year, after 2 unexcused tardies, there's a detention that's being issued. And we've talked to the students about this, about how this process works. And those detentions will be served on Mondays or Wednesdays following whenever the second tardy was given or earned. And RenWeb will actually automatically email you after that second tardy, so you know as well what's going on with your kiddo and how many tardies they've accumulated. So as of today, September 5th, we have started locking all exterior doors on campus. And so if you're here during school hours, come to the front doors and use the doorbell video camera system that we have there. And you basically just press the button and look in front of the camera that's there, and we will buzz you in. So basically we've told all our students if they're here late, they just need to come to the front doors, and that's where they'll get access to the building. And we just kind of concluded our time. I was just trying to encourage everybody that this is a great ministry, and God has so richly blessed this ministry with awesome students and families and staff. And I was just encouraging everyone that as he has done that, and as we think about why we have our kiddos here, just encouraging everyone to think about this place with the right perspective, and just saying how the school is not going to save your kiddos, because that's not who we are, and that's not what we do. We still have, of course, materialism and sin and brokenness in all of our hallways. So the school is not a shelter, and it's not going to save your kiddos, but Jesus is, and Jesus does, and it's an awesome place to be where Jesus himself is building relationships with all these kiddos, and it's our privilege to be walking with them as they develop those relationships with him, with the Lord Almighty. And so just thanking everybody that you guys are a part of this and in partnership with us. So we just appreciate you. And then I dismissed everybody, and everybody followed their kiddos' schedules, and then we dismissed for the evening. Thanks for listening.